light. As the prophet has said, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. This program will give you the answers to all your questions from the beginning of time until Judgment Day. The hourglass is almost empty, so come and hear the dynamic teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Clarence 13X, all those Warners sent to raise you, the lost but now found sheep in the wilderness of North America. Come, listen, and question the man of the hour.
شكرا جزيلا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الوالي الكريم. وصلى الله على الأنبياء أجمعين والمسيح والمهدي والمجدد لمن مرسلين. أما بعد. Are we not the bearers of witness that nothing would exist if Allah didn't create it? And that He is alone and has no part? And that all gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sustainer of all the boundless universes. All gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the generous eternal friend. And send salutations of Allah on all of His prophets and His apostles, and on the Messiah, the anointed one, and on the Mahdi, the guide, and on the Mujaddid, the reformer, which was all sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send greetings and we send peace throughout the boundless universe to all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
And now, True Light featuring Saeed Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to know where did the practice of human sacrifice come from?
It happened in ancient Babylon to the god Baal, the human god. What they believed that the sacrifice that the children of the Hebrews at the time, but it wasn't called Israel at the time, their sacrifices of goats and sheep, it brought them, blessings. So the Belialians or Balians, right, from Babylon, decided that the sacrifice of humans would bring them nearer to their God. They only did it as a means of mocking the Hebrews. And then it became a ritual. And then when the Satanic cults were bred out of ancient Babylon and became, as we know today, the Satanic orders, they continued on with blood sacrifice and human sacrifice, and to this very day it's still being done in the modern day hospitals you go to, every year. Millions of people are sacrificed around the world in the hospitals that we attend. All right? I shouldn't say which, I don't go to hospitals. But that most black people go to, there's people in there, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, that the work of the doctors, the nurses, and the cremators, they work together. And there they stick pins in babies' brains and tell their parents that they had a breech birth, etc., etc. And this is part of millions of human beings being offered to Satan daily, all around the world. Satanic worship and the offering of blood sacrifices to Satan is taking place today, right now, while we're sitting here in hospitals. They're just killing them. They're saying they aborted the child was born defective, etc., etc., etc. And these devils are living. They're catching them every now and then, but black people pretend they don't see it. It pops up on the news every now and then. Some nurse is responsible for just killing 35 people. Then after months later, it pops up on another program that it was satanically related. But then we have a thing about equating. Blacks don't equate. We don't seem to be able to say, Dr. Martin Luther King got assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't like to equate. We're afraid of conclusions. We like to live in myths. So we don't like to conclude. We don't like to come to grips with reality, because as still slaves, it frightens us to realize that our master has so much control. And then to turn around and realize that the master, the devil, who has under control, and we can't really do nothing about it, it's so petrifying to black people that they like to write it off and say it's just not happening. Right. So black families move out to Long Island, they get their house stoned, a cross is put on it, they get a bunch of letters saying, nigger, move out. We all watch that on primetime television news. We know for a fact that they don't broadcast everything on primetime television. So if they broadcast a subject like that, they're trying to instill some type of fear or some type of belief in our minds. They want us not to move out there. That's why they put it on primetime television. Otherwise, the FBI or the government would deal with a program like that, go into a neighborhood, find out who the people are in no time at all, because people who do stuff like that sit around in bars and talk about it and uproot it. So they put it on television, You know what I'm saying? It's all part of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about the devil working through the doctors, nurses, and the cremated. You follow? And blood sacrifice is, it's unbelievably how many children die on college campuses and in hospitals, and adults go in there for one thing and die. They go in there for a simple scar, and they're, some arteries busted in their brain, and they had a seizure, and they died. Or you go visit your grandfather in the hospital one day, and your parents will be all right. You call back that night, he's dead.
Right.
You know what I mean? You see, he's sitting there laying in the bed sick, or one of your parents is laying there sick, and eventually the doctor say, well, he's a medication, he's taking well to the medication. You come back, he's sitting up and he's talking. Everybody in the family's happy. You go home, you come, and the doctor calls and says, we're sorry to tell you he died. This happens all the time, but black people don't want to pay attention to that. They want to pretend it's not happening because you really want to believe that the white man is not a devil. Because you don't want it, because you think to call a white man a devil makes you a bad person. And that in itself is a form of subliminal seduction. To convince me that if I call a white man a devil, that I am bad or I'm crazy. Or to convince you that if I call a white man a devil, me personally, then you'll say that man is crazy. Meanwhile, the Klan and all these people call black people everything from minority to drug addicts to the misfits of the society. They can get on national television and just about call us anything they feel like. They stereotype Latino people one way. They say they have their hair slicked back and they wear long sideburns, and it's just not true. They say all black people walk around and hang on corners and talk like have no dictation, no articulation, don't have no nomenclature, don't know how to speak properly, and that's not true. You understand? But the moment one of us stand up, Minister Louis Farrakhan or someone, and says, well, I think that the white man is a devil, oh, he's a bad person. You realize that 90% of the black population will side with the white man when you make that statement? Right. Ignore what the Klan is saying about black people. Ignore what the Mormons said about black. The Mormon church existed in the United States government under the pretense of a church, and every man in the country that ever went into the military was given a Mormon Bible. Right. Not even a King James version of the Bible. In the military, they present you with the Mormon Bible. The Mormon Bible said that black people were cursed of Canaan. They had big lips because when they realized they had the curse, they got mad and they poked their lips out. What ridiculous dogma. There's no historical facts, there's no biblical logging, there's no scriptural translations to support this. This was a doctrine that was taught in the American armed forces to everybody, black or white. When blacks got to Germany, you know what the Germans were asking them over there? Take down your pants, we want to see if you have a tail. Because we heard that black men in America had tails. This was true. This took place. Ask any adult who was in that war. They had to convince them that black people were not monkeys and they didn't have tails. When the white man knows that 7 out of 10 white kids are born with a coccyx, an extension of the spinal column, anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches long, and they have to be moving. They're born with tails, 7 out of 10 of them. They have whole wards in hospitals like Kings County where there's nothing but a bunch of defective born children. And if you go up there, I'm not saying there's no blacks up there because we have mixed out blood. But you'll find that on a large scale, 75 to 90% of those people up there are white who are deformed. Kids born with no eyes, born with no arms. All genetic defects, mistakes in their genes because of the curse. You follow what I'm saying?
Right. I think the Christian doctrine, or the Christian beliefs, they use the crucifixion as something good. You know, that when you die, that you will have eternal life. And I think that instills fear into people who believe it as well as don't believe it. I mean, not don't believe it.
People that are screaming for capital punishment today, asking that human beings be put into a chair that has been electrified and burnt to death, or put into a chamber and a capsule of gas is dropped in there to gas them to death. The type of human being that screams for capital punishment is the type of human being who screams for the crucifixion of Christ. Of that day to this day. Right. And the people who will wear a cross are the same kind of people who will wear electric chair if they made one smaller. If someone produced a small gold electric chair and said this is a sign that there should be capital punishment, human beings that support capital punishment would probably go out and wear this thing on their neck. We do not want to remember Christ as someone who died on a cross like they do. We want to remember Christ as someone who's coming back to claim us and take us into salvation. This is what he taught. He kept teaching, I will be back to get you. You're not ready for me yet. You're not ready to receive me yet. I will be back to get you. Prepare yourself like a bride prepared for the wedding. You follow? Christians don't want to remember that part. They talk about it, but they want to remember when he was supposedly defeated on the cross. We don't want to remember when the Messiah, Jesus, was defeated on the cross. We want to remember that in our writings, be they Judaic, where they use the word Meshach, or Arabic, where they use the word Messiah, or English, where they use the word Christ from the Latin Christos, we want to remember that this Christos, or this Messiah, or this Messiah, is going to come back and reclaim us, and then take us on into the kingdom of heaven. This is what we want to remember. This is what we want to look for. I don't want to look back at his weak point when he said, my God, why have thou forsaken me? I don't want to think of him as having been born to die, and then when he gets to the point of death, the only thing he could think of to say to the Heavenly Father was that he left him, because the word forsaken really means to leave. I don't want to think that you're teaching me that Jesus is God incarnate, and that him and the Heavenly Father are one, yet he can leave himself. I don't need that confusion. Father, I don't want to think that God's soul moves to Jesus, or his spirit moves to Jesus, and then at a certain point Jesus says, Father, it is over, unto your hands I send my spirit, which means he separates his spirit from God's spirit. I don't want that confusion. I don't need that confusion. I want to believe that a God-like man, a human being with the spirit of the Most High incarnated on the planet when the world was in a state of total chaos, and when his people, the lost children of the house of Israel, were being suppressed and abused like you are today by the Romans, your father, and that certain Jews or certain of his people like we have today were working for the Romans, like we have black people who will infiltrate us, or for certain organizations or certain unions or certain corporations, regardless of what it is, whether it's a bureau of investigation of corruption or whatever. This is the people that investigated Jesus the same way. They came in the disguise as Israelites and sat amongst this congregation because they were black also. And his followers were very comfortable with these people and trusted these people because they were black also. And all they wanted to do was feed information back to the Romans on how to stop Jesus from setting up God's kingdom on earth. That's all they wanted to do. So they infiltrate as us. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to reflect back on that reality, because that reality becomes very vexing, becomes depressing to think that black people will do that again, that they made a mistake in the time of the Messiah, and they're willing to make the same mistake 2,000 years after. You understand? But the reality is, brother, they are, and they will, and they do. They will kill you in the name of men's writings. There are men out there who will follow certain sects of religion that will take your life because of some hadith. Not because the Quran says so, not because the Torah says so, not because the Injil says so, not because the Zabur or the Sahuk or the Hikmah says so, but because the writings of some men says, kill anybody who tries to burst our Sunnah or our Hadith. And they will take a man's life for that. I would like to believe that the man God, meaning Jesus the Messiah, who incarnated with the Spirit of the Most High moving through him, which the Quran also supports, came into the world to try to change it, to try to do something about the sins that plague the world, the disease of Satan in the form of the wicked and the evil that plague the world. And I know, and I feel, that history tells us that Jesus was definitely unorthodox. He was definitely unorthodox. He didn't agree with what they were doing in the temple. He didn't agree with the Pharisees, nor the Sanhedrin, or none of the other men. He was very unorthodox. You see that? And he had very few people that was devoted to him because he was unorthodox. Oh, I'm quite sure Jesus could have came along and complied with what the orthodox so-called Jews were doing, and they would have loved him because he was such an eloquent speaker, and because he had the power to heal, and he knew his scriptures. At the age of 12, he was debating with their most learned men in the temple. They would have loved him. But Jesus had a mission. His mission was to find the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the tribe of Judah, and to reinstate the covenant that the Most High had made with Abraham. And they hated him for that. And his own people yelled out, crucify him, kill him. The Romans told them, we will not do it. We wash our hands of it. He is one of you. What do you want to do? And they said, kill him. The same way it was black man's hands who pulled the trigger that killed Malcolm X. Though the Arabs were behind it, it was a black man's hand that pulled the trigger that killed Malcolm X. The same entity that removed a Dr. Martin Luther King from our midst, a great black man. The same entity that removed Clarence 13X, the founder of the 5% movement, shot down in the elevator with 7 bullets in Harlem. The same one that Kenyatta, and etc., and etc., and etc., and etc. The same one, the same devil that makes you think that Minister Louis Farrakhan is a bad man because he's speaking about the injustice of a people, an oppressed people. And they'll tell you, should we kill him? And Negroes will say, well, because I'm a black Israelite, I think he should be dead. Or because I'm a Sunni Muslim, I think he should be dead. Or because I'm a this, or because I'm a that. They will take a sectarian belief and make a decision on life and death on a sectarian belief and wish a man dead. That's what happened in Jesus' time, and that's what can happen again today. If you people, the lost sheep of the house of Abraham, be they Israel or Ishmael or Midian, whoever you call yourself, African or whatever you call yourself, don't say we will not have another crucifixion of Christ. We will not give you the pleasure of it. We will solve the differences of our leadership among ourselves. Because that's what happened with Christ, you know. The moment they got to the point where they was going to kill him, they turned it over into the hands of his own people, didn't they? Right in their Bible. They said, we don't have nothing to do with it. It's your problem. And who screamed out for his death? The Romans?
No.
His own people. And what did Christ say in St. John? He said, I came to my own, but my own receiveth me not. And then he repeated, but as many as do, or as many of them that do receive me, I give them the power to become the sons of God. What was he doing at that statement? I'll tell you what he was doing. He was clearing up the blasphemy that he was being accused of. See, the Jews accused him of blasphemy. They said, because we don't stone you because of your works, we stone you because you say you are the Son of God. That was the accusation in the book of St. John made against Jesus. We don't have anything against what you teach, Jesus. We hate the fact that you're saying you're the Son of God. And what did Jesus say? Is it not written in your law, I said ye are God? Then did he not say, our Father who art in heaven? And then he said, I come to my own, but my own receiveth me not. But as many of them that do, I give them the power to become the sons of God. Does that sound like he was taking an exclusive right to being a son of God?
No.
Does it sound like he was saying that he was God?
No.
I of my own accord can do nothing. I am not greater than he that sent me. I do the will of the Father that sent me. Our Father who art in heaven. He knew he was standing on earth. So if he made that statement, our Father who art in heaven, whether he meant then or in a future tense for Christians to pray like that, the truth still remains. He had separated himself from deity. But still, once he cleared it up, once he wrote a rebuttal, or in his case, spoke a rebuttal, people of his own people still yelled out, kill him, crucify him. And had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not stepped in and gave Jesus the keys to his own salvation through his power of transfiguration, what was Jesus' first miracle according to the Bible? Does anybody know? Transfiguration, alteration of molecules was his first miracle. He turned water into wine. Remember that? And he did it before his calling, because he told his mother right there that his time had not come as of yet. But he still, at that wedding of Cana, turned that water into wine. What did Jesus do? What kind of miracle did he perform? Because this miracle that he performed in the beginning of his mission was his own key at the end of his mission. He transformed one element to another. The same power he had when he transfigured himself in front of his disciples, and Elijah and Moses stood there. And they said he transfigured himself, and then a great white light shined around him, and his disciples saw it. And they used the word transfiguration. Look it up in a dictionary. He had the power to change the way he looked. He had the power to alter molecules. Where did he get this power from? What did he say? That's right. He said, I of my own accord can do nothing. The power to transform water to wine, the power to make fish commit suicide by going into the nets of his disciples, power to transform was in Christ and given to him through the Holy Spirit by his heavenly Father, who is also your heavenly Father, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But with all of that, men still of his own people wished him dead. Had he not transformed himself like he did the water to the wine and transformed Judas so that Judas looked like him, they would have killed Christ on the cross. But it was made to look that way there. Shabbahu, they said. It's made to look that way. It didn't really happen. Anybody who thinks it does, they say they only think that. There's only conjecture. That's a lie they made up. You understand? So the cross is no more than a symbol of another electric chair. It represents the power that Rome had over Christ, not the power that Christ had over Rome. You follow that? If the cross represented the power that Christ had over Rome, and listen to me close, he would have never had to be assisted in carrying it. Think about it now. Right. Christ, according to them, had to be assisted in carrying the cross because it was too much of a burden for him. If this cross was his destiny, then he would have had the power to carry it to Calvary. The fact that another man had to step in and carry the cross is a sign it was not his destiny. And you shouldn't have it on your neck. It symbolizes the power that Rome had over Christ's mission, not the power that Christ had over Rome. You understand? Because he said, oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. He was talking about the crucifixion. It's confirmed in the Bible in several places. He said, my spirit is willing, but my flesh is weak. I don't want to die, he's saying. I don't want to go to a cross and die. You understand? And the Lord, who was oft forgiving and most merciful, heard that prayer and did for Jesus the same thing he did for Abraham. You see, Abraham loved his son Isaac. He waited 90 years for his son Isaac. And I'm not saying Ishmael. And any Muslim that says Ishmael is lying to you. They know they're lying when they read out of it. It's only the way they teach it to you because they're trying to confuse you. But Abraham loved his son Isaac. Ishaq, alayhi salam, that's his name. But when the Almighty came to him and said, I request of you a sacrifice. I want that son whom you waited for so long by your wife Sarah. That's who I want you to sacrifice. That was merely a test of faith. And when Abraham, or Abu Rahim, or Ibrahim, there were many different cults that misspell his name. And when Abraham was a willing servant, he said, I'll give my son, my only son, to you. You see? The Almighty stepped in because of Abraham's faith and substituted his son with what? That's right. And there in the bushes to replace his son, see that? There in the bushes, on the tree, on the wood, on the cross, there in the bushes, stretched out and attached, and they said that the goat was tangled up in the bushes. He was trapped there, the way the man was nailed to the cross upon the wooden stick, trapped on the cross. The same story. Right. But because Jesus said he is willing to die for other man's sins, that he would give his life that you may have everlasting life, a willing sacrifice. How many men or women can say that they would die for hope? listen to me, died for a hope. Because all Jesus did is hoped that his people would regain the covenant, the blessings of the Heavenly Father, and make it back into heaven. He prayed for that. Because he said, according to you, oh, my Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. According to you, the man on the cross is Jesus. And at his dying point, he still doesn't curse you. He's still seeking forgiveness for you. You understand me? But the Lord heard Jesus' call. And he answered his call the same way he answered Abraham's call. He substituted a sacrificial lamb. He executed a law that he himself taught. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. A man for a man. A soul for a soul. So Jesus never reached the thicket, the wood, the tree, the cross, the bushes. Judas, the man who sought to betray the Lord Jesus Christ, himself ended up on the cross. Why they call it the greatest story ever told? They mean the greatest lie ever told. And more people are engulfed in that lie and believe in that lie, that died for that lie, and have even killed for it. No, just a lie. A lie that will be straightened up. Because Allah is all forgiving and most merciful. And then he'll send another man. And he'll send another man. And when he sent the honorable Elijah Muhammad, he came to loosen up some of those knots that tie your soul and your mind. But you are stubborn, these knots were tied so tight. And he tried to emulate the story of Jesus for you through Master Farad Muhammad. Well, a man came out of nowhere to me. Like Jesus just came walking by when John the Baptist was teaching. Now notice the likeness here. John the Baptist is the return of Elijah. You see? They all understand that.
We will continue with the true light after a brief intermission. Visit the original tents of Kedar, where we have available a vast selection of books, prayer beads, prayer rugs, plaques in Arabic, Qur'ans, and the Old and New Testaments of the Bible in Arabic. Also, we have multiple pamphlets and leaflets on the truth, posters and portraits, which display the prophets as they really were, Nubian. Now available, a full-color portrait of the Last Supper, the real Last Supper, portraying the Messiah Jesus and his disciples as they really appeared, as black men, Nubians. The original tents of Kedar is located at 717 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11221. Or call us at 718-452-9329. We will now continue with the true light.
And Jesus is the God incarnate to save the children who are being oppressed. You got it? Now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the John the Baptist who's called for Elijah, who acknowledges the man walking by, who he is so great within himself, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, yet he said about Master Farad Muhammad, I am not worthy to bend down and tie that man's laces. He gave the credit to another man. He didn't have to. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did the work so well himself, he could have took all the credit himself, could he not? But he didn't. That's the kind of man he was. His name was Kareem, you know. Very generous, very kind. So Master Farad Muhammad appears, and he is to Elijah Muhammad what Jesus Christ was to John the Baptist. He is a Christ. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes that clear inside the back page of every Muhammad speech under Article 12. He's like the Messiah to the Christians and the Mahdi to the Muslims, he says. He said he's a personage of Allah. Allah came into the personage of a man. Don't get all crazy and misunderstand it. You've been understanding it for 2,000 years in the name of Jesus, given to you by the Romans. But now through the black man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives you the exact same story about a black man. All of a sudden, you can't understand it. 2,000 2,000 years you've been understanding God coming down as a man in the form of Jesus Christ and walking amongst men. He started his mission because he got baptized in the Jordan by John the Baptist in the year 29, and according to you, 33 he was gone. That's 3.5 years. Listen to me. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says the exact same thing. The exact same thing. The man came out of nowhere and walked amongst us for 3.5 years, and he left saying he'll be back for us. Then you look at his form, and then he makes something real clear right now for all my brothers and sisters of the nation of Islam and the true follower of Elijah Muhammad. That we argue about which Farad is real. Is it Farad Muhammad? Is it W.D. Farad? Is it Master W.D.? Is it W.F. Muhammad? Is it Abdul Ali Farad Muhammad Ali? Let me tell you something right now. And I want all the Ansars to pay attention to this. This is for every Ansar. You know what I want you to do? You know what I want you to do? Huh? I want you to burn the Lamb Book. Listen to me. I want you to burn the Lamb Book. You know why I want you to burn the Lamb Book? Because it is wrong, and it was wrong for me to decide to, regardless of the channel. I got letters and pictures and news clippings and articles from Chicago about which Farad was correct, and took it upon myself to write a book about it. When I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to me in a dream and told me, he said, all those pictures are the same man. I said, what? He said, all those pictures are the same man. I said, I'm dreaming. I got to be dreaming. Farad, all of them the same man. The man fought God. They didn't get a picture circulating of him. You're looking at Farad's groom different ways. I had to step back and say, wow, either I'm going nuts, or I got to tell the Nubian nation what is. Because my philosophy is simple. What is? Truth is truth. And whether I like it or not, truth is truth. And if that is the truth, and if it was just a vision, if it was a dream, if it was an illusion, I still don't have the right to make the decision on which Farad is Farad inside the Nation of Islam's doctrine. Are you with me? I didn't have the right to make that decision in their doctrine. I didn't have the right to make the decision that Minister John Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad's brother, replaced him. Oh, your Ansars might like that because it made them able to debate with their fellow brothers, the tribe of Shabazz, and it made them look like they were heavy. But now the test of true faith comes in. Can you humble yourself and tell them you're sorry? And I had to be confronted with, can I come out and say, after all of that, and all that whole book, and all that research, and all them letters that came, and all that, and all the people that said thank you, can I come out and say thank you for nothing? It didn't work, Satan. Get behind me, Satan. Here's the point. I don't care whether it was Master Farad Muhammad, W.F. Muhammad, Abdul, I don't care. Whatever the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that's right and exact. Whomever the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and we can fight all day today about right and wrong and still be wrong. Are you with me? Whomever the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said was Farad, that's the man he was talking about, you see. Not the one that the devil fabricated or pictures he circulated. That was all done after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for one purpose. Get behind me, Satan. Say it with me. Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan. It was sent for one purpose. Because I was the most powerful writer at the time. I'm the only one that could topple the belief. Do you understand that? So I would be the one selected to try to write something that would cause dissension in the Nation of Islam. Or to cause people confusion. You understand? Are you with me? And I'm telling Satan, it did not work. Whomever the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says is Master Farah Muhammad is, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he passed on to the mothership in 1975 and not 1973, then what year was it? 1975. If he says that Minister John Muhammad did not replace him, then what? We're not going to let the devil cause these petty dissensions. Oh, no. You're not going to make us turn against Minister Louis Farrakhan. You're not going to make us turn against Minister Silas Muhammad. You're not going to make us turn against any of the real, true followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad so that we can take him out of the Black Hall of Fame. So we can remove his picture and leave the Honorable Elijah Muhammad off the wall of light and open a door of dissension so that you can try to eliminate Minister Louis Farrakhan. Oh, no, no, no. It ain't working, Shaitan. It ain't going to work. So Ansars will tell people of the Nation of Islam, whoever you say Master Farah Muhammad is, because that is your community and it is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's brainchild, then that's what we'll agree with. And we will encourage the burning of the Lamb Book and that it will never be printed again. Not by me. And if someone does print it, me and the Nation of Islam will get together and sue them. Are you here? They're not going to pull that trick and have us yell out, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him, because of a little difference in doctrine. Now, if I can't make this any plainer than I'm doing, and if you want to believe it's a ploy, you can believe anything you want. If you want to believe it's a ploy, we have enough Ansars as it is, trying to maintain a community as big as we have across this world. And I'm quite sure now that you saw the newspaper, you're kind of shocked. You didn't know there was that many Ansars. And you know that half of the communities ain't even in the newspaper. You saw the newspaper, haven't you? Most of you. Well, make sure when you leave, tell the brothers I said, give everybody in there a copy of the newspaper. They can pass it out while the class is going on. But everybody reads the newspaper. We don't need, that's not the reason. The reason is reality. And the reality is that if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was raised up amongst us, you follow that? To seek out that lost tribe, I become a problem by arguing which Farad is right. Regardless of what I may believe or think, if you really listen to what I'm saying, that don't mean nothing. What means something is they will not allow me to even imply again that maybe the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made a mistake. Oh, no, devil. That ain't working no more. Honorable Elijah Muhammad was all wise, right, and exact. He knew who you were, and he knew who the true and living God was to him. You understand me? So Ansars, make sure they get that message. Go ahead, proceed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I would like to ask a question. Is it true that they are putting hypnotic tracks inside of the music that we're listening to on the radio?
Repeat that again.
Is it true that they're putting hypnotic tracks into the music that our children are listening to now?
Yes, they are. I own several recording studios. We have York Productions, and we deal with quite a few groups. All right? They're in it. People like Africa Mbata and Jazzy J and Queen Latifah and Third Base and Big Daddy Kane is now paying from being a 5% to an Ansar recently, and so many others are out there, and I deal with them, and we are fighting that. A lot of the rap groups, KRS and them, are fighting it. They don't want to play KRS videos no more because he points out that Ham was not cursed, but Ham's son Cannon was cursed. So now they don't want to play it no more. So now people are beginning to realize that the Nubian nation is real, and we're on the move, and we're fighting a serious beast. You follow? Yes, the devil does. You have tracks. Some studios have hundreds of tracks. Yes, they do put chants of Satan inside music, inside commercials to make you want to buy, inside movie soundtracks. They put little subliminal chants to Satan to poison your soul. Let me tell you something else. You mothers in that room and in the world who's listening, you better stop listening to rock and roll in your house, assuming because you have on headphones that the baby can't hear it. That's just not true. You understand me? FM frequency travels through the ear. And if you can pick up music on a CD, a baby is a receiver. A baby laying in the crib across the room can hear what you're listening to in those headphones in your head. Do you hear me? And the devil controls the music business. We're trying to make a serious dent in it with all the groups that participate with our record company. And it's working. But the devil controls the music industry, and he is subliminally putting devil worship throughout the air. This is why it upsets me when Sunni Muslims don't understand the principles of Dr. York. I heard your imam is a singer. I heard he goes on the stage. I heard he goes into clubs. They don't understand the fear I have being who I am and knowing what I know when I do have to go into a club. If I didn't know what I knew and I wasn't who I was, going into clubs would be fun, I guess. But when I walk in there, I can hear all the calls to Satan in the music. I can see my people being destroyed mentally by the tones and the pitches and the keys of the music that they're playing in. How it affects the spinal column and the nerve system and does brain damage. I see the devil at work. And I got to take a lot of courage to take off my shield, my white robe, and go out there and try to do something about bringing black kids away from that poison. So you silly Sunnis, I wish you would, if you're not going to help, at least mind your business. Because the more attention you put on me for what I'm doing, the more attention the devil's putting on me. You're so busy mad at me because I won't shake hands with your white-eyed friends. I'm sorry. It's not in me. It's not in my bones. It's not in my blood. It's not me. I'm one of those people that believe we as black men can do for ourselves, and we don't need no pale lives to support us. I ain't his baby. I'm a man.
Alhamdulillah.
Our biggest problem is we have never been given the chance to prove that we are men. But every time we prove we're men, you come up with a new superhero. But now, we the Nubian nation are standing up. And we are proud to be Nubian. And we're proud to be a part of the Nubian nation. And we're going to tell the world, we're going to spread this good news, this gospel throughout the world. And then the end will come. And I wish you people who don't understand my mission would hold your tongues, because you're blocking the greatest thing that has ever happened to black people in the world, not just North America. You are blocking the tabernacle of the Most High. I know that's not in your hadith book. I know that. I've read them all. You can get them on computer now and push up the keys and go through all the hadith. I know it's not in your hadith book. It wasn't supposed to. Hadith is not divine. And stop saying that Ansar Allah community are not following the Sunnah. We are the real Sunnis. We are following the Sunnah of Muhammad. Come to one of our prayers. I don't see y'all doing 100 rak'ah. That is Sunnah. That's not in the Quran. It's Sunnah of Muhammad to do 100 rak'ah. You want to pick and choose what you do. You want to do the 5 daily prayer, but you don't want to do the 2 late night prayers. You like to go to Eid al-Fitr and have a feast, but you don't want to do Nifsa Min Shaban and spend all night a walk and do 100 rak'ahs in the mosque. That's hard on you. And you call yourself the Sunni and say, we're not following the Sunnah. You're the one that ain't following the Sunnah. We are the real Sunnah. We are real Ahlul Sunnah. But you'll never understand that because the slave master don't want you to. And anything the slave master don't want you to believe, you can't seem to believe. But this work that has been laid upon us here in the wilderness of North America, under the name of Ansar Allah, is a great work. It's a waking up. It's an awareness period. Our symbols are clear. Our colors are clear. Our history is clear. Our future is clear. And all you people can think of is trying to figure out ways to hinder this. Anybody got a newspaper? Look in the newspaper. Look at the pictures. Go from page to page. Forget the beauty of the cover. It can be very attractive. Forget the pictures of me and relatives. Go on past that and start looking in the book around page 5. And now turn on to page 6. And then stop and look, everybody. You got it? Look at 7. That's around the world. Look at 8. Then pass me again, I'm not that important. And go past it again. And go past the commercials and go to the middle of page 12 and look at 12. Look at the kids there. You see them? Let's go on to page 14. Look at the kids, the little girls dancing. The little boys playing the pan, the steel pan, one of our cultural instruments from the Caribbean. And we play conga, and we dance, and we sing, and as soon as I can get some gospel groups in here, we'll have gospel singing the truth. And if you don't like it, then just leave us alone. Look at the little boys on the stage. Look at the wedding of the East. One of the greatest days of my life, to watch my daughter grow up, a Muslim woman, a virgin in New York City, speaking fluent Arabic. I appreciate that. I appreciate the applause because it means a lot to me. You follow what I'm saying? How many men in there would like their daughters to grow up a virgin, praying 5 times a day, speaking fluent Arabic, and marry a good husband, and right now, wait a minute. This is a whole new element for y'all. And right now, she's having a baby, so Imam Isa is going to be a grandfather soon. Ain't that something? And one of my sons just had a baby last week. No, he didn't have the baby, his wife had the baby. Ismail. Yes. Look at that paper. Ain't that beautiful? Turn it on to the next page. Now, I hope everybody didn't jump up ahead of me now. We still at 16 there. Black people like to run up ahead of everything. You see the kids there studying the Quran, reading the Quran, studying Arabic. Then you move on over, you see the sisters working in the sewing room, working, making clothes, them jackets that y'all see out there, Nubian jackets, the sisters here are making them. White man ain't making them. Sisters here making the hats you're wearing. Coming right from here. And the brother African Bambata, the head of the Zulu nation, which is also part of the Nubian nation, was on television 2 days ago holding the jacket up saying, don't buy Gucci and don't buy whatever, buy Nubian nation. That's all. Just to contribute to the family. Don't think the women coming here don't have nothing to do. That's not true. Don't think your daughter's in here and her whole growth has stopped. That's not true. If she knows anything about computers, she has the option to work in computers. If she wants to sew, she can develop and become a professional seamstress. If she wants, whatever she wants to do, or whatever talent she has, will be developed here. Don't let nobody think your daughter or your son comes here and stops growing. It's not real. And we didn't sit around and stage all these pictures. There's a daily thing that happens. And inshallah, if it wasn't for the fact that the devil is so powerful, I would allow people to tour the community. I'd love mothers and fathers to come here, drink tea with us, have a Danish, and walk through and see the kids' quarters, see the couples, go down the block, visit their daughter and her husband at his house and their house, and see that the myth that people have fabricated against us is not true. Everybody is not separated from their kids. This is not a prison. People can walk out anytime they feel like. Your daughter can call you anytime she wants to. Your son can call you anytime. The only thing in the South does is we say, don't treat us like we're some mental institution where you come in on Sunday to see your grandchild. Like it's a mental institution, because it's not like that. We want to get to the point where we can take care of you, mother. My mother's here with me, and that's a blessing from Allah. That's the first thing I tell every Sunni Muslim imam. If you ain't got your mother standing by your side, then your doctrine ain't worth 2 cents. If you can't even convert your mother, don't even try talking to me. Because she's the one that'll know if you're full of mess or not. Your mother knows you better than anybody in the whole world, including your father. If you can't reach your mother, you jiving. Listen, you mothers are welcome. You fathers are welcome. Our biggest fear is, please, when you come to see your children, don't bring the devil as if we're some kind of a cult and we're going to commit suicide. Negroes don't commit suicide. Jim Jones was white. If you told niggas to commit suicide, they look at you like you're out your mind. Let's all commit suicide. And when they leave, when they get outside, they'll see I'm standing out there. Because I'm not saying someone come in there and say, let's commit suicide. Like, commit what? That's not real. It doesn't happen here. Your kids are healthy. We care about their diet. We keep them vegetarian, but we make sure they get supplements for the lack of iron. We're not stupid. There's doctors here, there's lawyers here, there's professional people here. And we wish families would open up so we can have a family meeting. So we all can sit with parents and they can see and feel us and know we're not no cult. Yeah, I'm a little crazy, but who isn't? I get a little extreme at times, but who don't? But I do think, save the baby. I want them to be properly educated. I want them to be a part of what's taking place in the world. And it doesn't happen isolated in the project. Even if you got the freedom, you ain't getting the proper education. They just ain't giving it to you. And if they see you as too smart, they try to cripple you. Please, parents, come down with an open heart. Don't bring the devil so that we can come on defense, because all they want to do is come in and see what we're doing so they can figure out ways to stop it. And the thing is, once you get to the point where your children, your daughter, your son, your grandchildren are here, and they learn their doctrine, they will come out and they'll be sitting in your house with you, and you can say, what do you believe and why do you believe that? That's stupid. And they can say, I believe this because so-and-so, and you can say, well, to me it's ridiculous. They say, well, I have to respect you anyway because paradise lies at the feet of a mother. And honor thy mother and parents, your mother and father, as long as they both live. And even after the grave. I don't know why it stopped at that point. Where they're not taught to dishonor their parents. They're taught, we wish we can take care of your parents. We wish they would move in our neighborhood, not necessarily in our religion. In our neighborhood, where we can furnish them with a house and make sure they got food and make sure they're secure, because this world is going mad out there. And we're worried about our parents, because crack is serious. Crack reduces people to less than human. And all the kids in this mouth there always say, I wish my mother was here. Not so much because we want to convert you to what we believe, but we want to try to save you from what we think. And that doesn't mean we're all right. I'm just saying, save you from what we think is dangerous for you because we love you. We don't get in here and be told, don't love our parents. We pray for our parents and hope they come home so that they can be a part of the tabernacle of the Most High and help build this family. I want your grandchild sitting on your lap. I want to see 3 generations of people together. I'm not trying to create a cult that's going to try to overthrow the American government. It is ridiculous for any organization to think they're going to overthrow the American government. And governments outside can't even do it. Unless black people think they're as powerful as the whole country of Panama, and you see what the American government did to Panama, and if you got no organization who think you're as powerful as the whole country of Panama, then go ahead. I ain't that stupid. I'm not going to sacrifice people's lives on no ego trip and play crazy. There's women and children, there's people here. And I got to take that into consideration every time I speak. You understand me? Let's turn on.
If you have any further questions, call now. Area code 718-452-9329. 718-452-9329. If you would like a taped copy of today's broadcast, contact the original tent of Kedar by calling area code 718-452-9329. 718-452-9329. Come out to the village of the Ansarullah community, where we are raising the 144,000 children of light. Come home to the Tabernacle of the Most High and get your questions answered by visiting the Hall of Knowledge every Sunday afternoon from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 548 Hart Street, Brooklyn, New York. Now the original tent of Kedar is introducing a brand new Mahdi collection of beauty and healthcare products. You must come home to your own. We'll find a full line of products for the righteous who want to look good and stay healthy too. Try our pure soaps, creams, hair pomade, toothpaste, and shampoos, which contain all natural ingredients. If you have any questions, please call the original tent of Kedar, located at 717 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. That's area code 718-452-9329. Remember, you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free.
اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم صدق الله العظيم.